Let's now join our commentary team for this event, the Bridgestone Porsche New Zealand Championship.
They've got a green and they're away. 6 laps of this Bridgestone Series race. Straight out very quickly, Gordon Burr in the 930.
Looks as though it's dried a little, Tony, into the corner here. It was pretty greasy here earlier on. I don't know how hard these guys will go. They say they drive pretty hard. Many of them have been to Hockenheim circuit and had Porsche factory drivers which train them. So they're pretty determined.
An enormous amount of money on the grid is apparent, but it doesn't seem to slow them down at all.
Now, I'd be looking too for Ray Williams. Ray Williams is number 31. He had a bit of mishap in practice yesterday with his gearbox, but he's fixed that. He hasn't got a reverse gear today, but he's got the 4 forwards. And Ray is a great campaigner, as you know.
That's 930 Turbo, also the white one. Look for that with the whale tail, number 31. Ray Williams, a very experienced driver, perhaps more experienced on circuits than most of the others here, although the leading competitors in this Porsche race are very, very good drivers, no question about that. They're not fellows out being yuppies and having a play on a street circuit because someone gave them the opportunity. It'd be intriguing to see what their times come down to.
So I didn't think they were particularly rapid yesterday, as they had a few practice laps getting familiar with the circuit here in Wellington, but certainly, speaking to the drivers this morning, they felt that they could do a lot better.
Into their first lap, they'll want a little bit of time to get this circuit sussed. There has been a little fine mist around, which has made it very, very slippery indeed. And David Hodgson, as we saw with 1 or 2 of the earlier inexperienced racers here, a lot of potential to get into trouble with the Armco.
I hope you're not referring to me by any chance.
Is there any comparison with the fact that if you want to own a Porsche, it's like going to see the Rocky Horror Show 10 times? I mean, it's a cult thing, isn't it?
I think, yes, it is to some extent. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It's the sort of thing that young men dream of. Get a bit of red mist behind the eyes. But in the end, you've got to learn to drive them. And 911s, as you may know, David, are fairly tricky. Every motoring writer worth his salt has said the 911s are tricky to drive well, but when they're driven well, they're very fast.
Around 924s, 944s, 911s and 930s.
Yes, and somewhere back in the field will be a Neil Tolich, and the only 356, the bathtub speedster in the country. Maybe the only one in Australasia. There it is. Neil Tolich. Had to bring that in from the States. Lovely little car, flat 4, 1,580 cc's, about 88 brake horsepower, probably 104, 105 miles an hour.
Notice he's obviously had the good sense to have the little rollover cage there.
Yes, in this style of racing, that becomes quite controversial, doesn't it? I mean, I've got a Lotus 7, and frankly, if I didn't have a little cage over that, I'd be terrified of racing.
Paul Higgins, number 10 there in the 930 Turbo, coming up well too. But still no challenge for Gordon Burr. An excellent start, and he's just really pulled away. That's the gap now. Back to Pilkington, and Farmer trying to get round. He had the wrong line. It's a great battle for 3rd, 4th, 5th.
Yes, I think the people from Wellington and hereabouts who come to watch this will be quite surprised at how close this racing is. All that expensive panel work.
What's the view, David Oxton, of how well they're using the circuit?
Well, it's the same old problem when you have 3 cars fighting for the same bit of road, Tony. You've got to really throw the lines out the window. But they're into a straight battle, and so you have a bit of a carve up like that and maybe risk a panel, but in fact you actually slow yourselves down. Your lap times will go out the window because you aren't able to flow corner to corner in the classic style. So I guess Pilkington is fighting. Oh, a nice sideways there for Cameron. I would say that's a bit of the horsepower we've seen that he's generating.
Yes, well indeed, he's got himself into 3rd position.
He just lost 2.
Bill Farmer's 2nd to Gordon Burr.
So when you find what happens is in your anger to try and keep the door closed on one car, someone sneaks through on the other side. That's really what racing's all about.
So the only person who's not getting involved in any of this is Gordon Burr, out in front in the silver 930. Started off the front, pulled out a substantial lead and really has run away. And it's Cameron now who's making the battle with Farmer. Farmer up to 2nd, Cameron challenging him.
It's getting a little misty again. This must be about the last lap. Well, I think you see how Gordon Burr really opens up down the straight. Tremendous power. They do get the power down, these cars, with all that weight over the rear.
Certainly very, very quick in a straight line.
Well, I haven't haven't seen Ray Williams.
I've been looking out for him down the field, and no sight in the front bunch. Farmer still second, Cameron third. Ray Williams, we understand, is down to about 9th place.
He may still be having gearbox trouble because he's won the last 2 races in the series. There are 10 races in the Bridgestone series. These are races 5 and 6.
So running out of time now for Cameron to get up.
Borthberg got held up a little traffic there in the bottom corner, down by the Fowler Centre. I'll have to get familiar with the names of these corners. I've spun there twice. And that was when the street race wasn't on.
Burr has just dropped back a little, as you said. Dougal caught in some traffic and lost a fair amount of the advantage he had. He's really had no one to battle with out in front. A flawless drive so far.
You see how he's able to pull away. I mean, that's a very potent little car of Bill Farmer's, but Gordon Burr's turbo still has the legs on it in any straight line. Well, he'll be coming down to the checkered flag.
See the marshal crouched there, about to give him the checkered flag. Gordon Burr of Matamata in the 930 takes it away from Bill Farmer and Graham Cameron. And the first this weekend of the Bridgestone Porsche Series races, and obviously a fairly interesting and very closely fought series too.
Yes, it will be. Of course, you've got to remember that there are, 5 races within the race, and you've got to look at the cars and judge which class they're in. All the three first cars, Gordon Burr and Bill Farmer and Graham Cameron, I think, are in Class A. That's the fastest class on this. I'd be interested to see how they go tomorrow if it's dry.
Just having a look again at the style down towards the finish in this beautiful silver 930. Gordon Burr of Matamata in the 930 turbo, 3.3 litres, 300 odd horsepower. Bill Farmer in the 911 RS, 2.8 in second place, and Graham Cameron with 3rd place.
And the Porsches will be having their second race of the week.
Bill Farmer got an excellent start there. But it was Graham Cameron, the Group A driver, who actually held back. That 944 turbo of his, as I discovered yesterday, is an actually 1988-1989 spec motor car. So it is one of the most modern Porsches in the country. I couldn't tell you how many horsepower it is, but he didn't get a very good start. Bill Farmer was determined in this race.
Graham Cameron certainly came up well, is in 4th place now, moved right up into the first hairpin corner. We've got 924s, 944s, 911s, 930s, a 356 and a 914.
Well, there's the 914, the Alan Bremner car we were talking about before. Little car that was supposed to be a 2-litre became a 3-litre, and driven by a real campaigner and a peddler, Alan Bremner, Porsche fan from way back. Long-time Porsche president.
Now that's an awful lot of horsepower in a little car too.
Well, they're a very well-balanced little car. They weren't a great success. It was a collaboration between Porsche and Volkswagen. They weren't a great commercial success, but mid-engine car, it ought to be perfectly balanced.
Still the front three battling it out there. Burr manages to catch up with Cameron in a straight line, but he's braking a little earlier. Cameron leaving it to the last minute. Burr getting better drive out of the corner.
I think in terms of dynamics, the 944 being a much later model and style of motor car, there's nearly a touch there. That's not the sort of thing one does with Porsches. The 944 being a later model of motor car and being a better balanced motor car inherently, it's probably got the road holding.
So I think Gordon Burr's words of yesterday about it being a Carrera circuit are being borne out here. He thought he was fairly lucky to have stayed in front.
Well, the Carrera would be a lighter car. I couldn't tell you exactly by how much. But it was really developed for the sportsman racer, and there were lightweight Carreras which were really out-and-out races.
Certainly Farmer's managed to stay in front very well indeed. It's still tight with these three. And have a look at Burr again having a go at Cameron and getting past this time.
Chopped him off nicely there to make sure that Cameron couldn't get through the inside, and that must be what he'll have to do. Burr will have to keep that door closed on Cameron. Cheeky boy with his turbo Porsche, and he certainly makes room. Graham Cameron showing some of the experience he gained from the Group A Commodore he ran last year, driven at this meeting on this Mobile 500 by Ed Lamont and Brett Riley.
There's a 12-second gap now back from this group of three, even though they're dicing. They pulled away. Cameron around the outside again, exactly as he did 3 laps ago.
That was a lovely move. His experience really showing through.
He's very adept at finding that line first, isn't he? Bit of demon late braking.
Well, this will be the first time we've really seen a 944 perform to its potential in this country. I think, Tony, we've been more used to these 911s and even the old 356s, like Neil Tolich, bringing up the rear.
The temptation must be, though, with so much horsepower in these fabulous little Porsches, to boot them too hard and get wheel spin. And see, when they get a bit excited, they now going through on Tolich there, sensibly making some room. He's not going to let any dents go on the side, but boy, those guys are going now.
Farmer, Burke, Cameron, Seward, Pilkington, Elliott is the order. You saw a nice shot there of the 356 Speedster, Tolich's car.
Well, that's about 90 brake horsepower, possibly a top speed of 104 to 107 miles an hour, depending on which magazine you believe. A classic Porsche, if ever there was one, and still punting it around at a good speed. But certainly outclassed in this, but he doesn't expect to beat these people.
Cameron now has pulled away a little from Burr, trying to get onto Farmer's tail. But Farmer seems to have the right spaced gear cogs and the right sort of handling that's getting him around here, together with a bit of demon driving, of course.
Well, it looks like maximum points for Bill Farmer in the Porsche Bridgestone Series today. A clean drive, up on the bridge, nice bit of chopping there. And I think your winner will be Bill Farmer in the RS, Tony.
Coming down now to the checkered flag in race number 6 of the Bridgestone Porsche Series. Race 5 run yesterday. That's